Good evening, Warband. Put on your robe, sacrifice your goat. Welcome to the Red Pill Cult meeting. Episode 32, the Canadian federal election post-mortem. So, mark this down in history because this is probably going to be the year that Canada falls. I am here with our political expert, producer Tim. Welcome, welcome, Tim.
Hello.
All right.
How
Let's
you doing?
All right, coming through. Excellent.
Yeah, I always got to check that.
Yeah, so we've got we got a lot on our plate. So let's get first story of the night. We got Sotenar, Book Eater, Story Eater, and Forno Raisin in. Yeah, let's see where.
Sup, Grigas? All those all the Punitis and the Grigas and the everything in between.
There we go. Ah, there.
How's it looking for Canada? Oh yeah, it's fucked. It's right fucked.
Yes. I think if there's let's give a brief summary, for those who didn't stay up 6 hours on election night watching the disaster unfold in slow motion.
Pierre Poilievre choked on a giant cock.
Yes.
That's the summary. That's the summary.
Yeah, yes. Once again, the Canadian Conservatives have successfully snatched defeat from the jaws of victory.
Yeah, we have a legend. There's a legend here in Canada that the best lead for the Liberals is a Conservative up by 20 points.
Not wrong. Oh. Seriously. That oh god, that whole night was a bloody emotional roller coaster of a train wreck. And we're assuming that everything's above board. Like there was definitely some fuckery with Poilievre's district with like that 91 names on the ballot. Like in protest. Yeah. Didn't happen on Carney's. Didn't happen on fucking Carney's ballot, only on Poilievre's ballot.
And it's funny because Longest Ballot Committee is not actually a partisan group. At least not at surface. They might. I mean,
they're not openly partisan.
Ontario. Yeah. They're like the founders and the organizers are from Toronto, so they're going to have a certain political bias to them. But they targeted Pierre's riding because they thought Pierre was actually going to win the election. Because they wanted to go after like the leader of who was going to be the prime minister. They didn't think Carney was going to win. And I think that's maybe why they didn't. Because this is something that you have to plan ahead of time. The Longest Ballot Committee had their plan ready to go about 6 months before the election. Now, they didn't know when the election was going to be called.
Yeah.
So they had to go in a hurry.
And to be fair, like we only knew about the election happening like a month in advance.
Yeah. So I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm not normally so generous, but from what I've seen from Longest Ballot Committee, they've actually just, they don't go after anyone in particular. They just go where they make the biggest news headline.
But at the same, I guess so. Like, you think they could have targeted every leader or something instead of like literally just the one opposition leader?
No, see, there is a flaw with that. So, as you know what, let's put the Longest Ballot Committee aside for a bit, just because you don't have the right article up right now.
Fair enough, yeah.
Have it queued up. We'll put because I did explain it on election night, and I think we can come back to it in a post-mortem.
Yeah, like
But
they're not really the main thing. They're more so a little sideshow attraction.
which is all they ever wanted to be. Like that's exactly what they intended to do. So good on them for
Yeah, mission success.
setting a
Mission
goal
success.
and
Yeah.
meeting it. All right. So what you got up here, you might want to zoom the text in a little bit there. I think it's hard
Yeah.
for everyone to see.
Yeah.
So I wanted to start hot with this one. So Pierre Poilievre actually disavowed MGTOW back in 2022. Some of his staffers are actually pretty red-pilled people, and they were uploading the videos on his official YouTube channel and adding the tag MGTOW, which of course the left-wing media in Canada considers to be a hate-filled, misogynistic. Well, actually, you can see it just in that fourth paragraph. Using his videos to appeal to far-right, misogynistic online movements.
Yeah, and like let's be honest, even like most conservatives would even think of it as a far right misogynistic movement because hey, most conservatives are simps.
All right, so the next paragraph that reads, these are anti-women movements and they have had devastating real-life consequences. I call for the conservative leader to stand in house, take responsibility. All right, so scroll down a bit and you'll see Poilievre's response to that. So, of course, the media breaks this story and they're like, oh, blah, blah. Poilievre did not apologize, but he addressed this issue. I condemned this organization and corrected the problem as soon as it became known to me. I condemn all forms of misogyny, including when the Prime Minister fired the very first female Indigenous Attorney General. And then the next paragraph tells you the context behind that. That'd be the Jody Wilson-Raybould debacle with SNC-Lavalin. So, anyways, but yeah, there he goes. He's just like, oh yeah, I disavow that. So when on election night, when I was talking about how young disenfranchised men basically propelled Trump to the presidency, Pierre Poilievre disavowed and condemned that same group.
Yeah, and that's really, I think, a big part of why Polyev lost the election. Like, because he basically attacked the group of people that would have been his biggest support base, his most enthusiastic supporters. He absolutely threw them under the bus to basically try to poach liberals.
Yeah, and I mean that's what happens when you do liberal versus liberal light. People just go with the liberals. Like, why would you vote for liberal light?
That's exactly it. Because that's the thing. Is like, how were the conservatives different from the liberals aside from maybe they wouldn't spend as much?
Yeah. Now, here's how this translates into real world. If you're going to do a post-mortem on election night, here's how that issue translates. The 18 to 35 age group is among the lowest turning out. They're the least motivated to turn out and vote. You really need to work hard to pull them out on election day and go and vote. They usually have lives. Most of them have very young children, or other like long hours at the workplace. They don't get the benefit of being like, oh, I'm punching out at 3:00 and going to go vote. We have a law in Canada that says you have to give time off to go vote. Hardly anyone does that because most people, despite what the media tells you, actually take pride in their work. And they're like, well, man, if I leave for 2 hours and I just got to do this all tomorrow and I'm going to be swamped, why bother? Or like, my 4-year-old has a soccer game at 4 or 5, so I don't have time to go vote. And then we got to go home and pick up skipped dishes for supper. So when you're going around disavowing that a major section of that group, you're going to depress the overall turnout. So millennials, anyone born after 1985, now outnumber the boomer generation in terms of electoral power. There's more of us than there are of the boomers who are all dying off. So when you're depressing the turnout, when you combine those two statistics together, right, they're the largest voting bloc, but they're also the least motivated to turn out. It means it can swing elections like greatly when you motivate them to vote. I'm actually just going to quickly do a Google search for the national turnout rate for the U.S. presidential election to compare it to Canada's. The numbers I have here from Elections Canada says that our turnout rate was 68.7, which is average for a Canadian federal election, but that tells you oh, this so-called change election really did just fizzle out. Take over for a second, Gray, while I Google the turnout rate for the U.S.
Yeah.
presidential election.
Well,
Give me your thoughts
because
on Polyev condemning MGTOW.
like honestly, that's the thing. Polyev, he, like I don't know whether the guy is just because on one hand, the more conspiratorial angle that I would take on this is evidence of our uniparty. Like Polyev never intended to win. He intends to just be permanent opposition, and so he's going to toe the liberal line. He's not going to take any step that actually openly goes against the narrative. Like that's the conspiratorial, the politicians are all in on it. Possible. The other angle is that Polyev is a boomer who watches television. And he is completely out of touch with his voting base. Like, he watches the news, he sees all the stuff about Trump, he listens to the boomers who are all concerned about Trump because all they do is watch the news, and so he figures, oh, all the Canadians are against Trump, therefore, if I want the Canadian vote, I too need to oppose Trump. Because every conservative in lockstep, and like, even Doug Ford, as soon as he wins the Canadian provincial election, next thing he's doing, I heavily oppose Trump and these Trump tariffs.
Yeah,
Like,
Doug Ford was never really a real conservative to begin with, and for the record, neither was Rob Ford. They're both like libertarian populist candidates. Um, yeah, I'd certainly not call Doug Ford a conservative, the big C, well, small C conservative.
no, but
But he knows how to win in a place where conservatives don't normally do very well.
yeah, and like, I'd argue that we've never really had a conservative party. Because even the conservatives, they've always been the progressive conservative. So we've had an oxymoron for our conservative party forever. Like, there's never just been a straight up conservative party. There's always been that progressive tag added on. It was like, yeah, we're gonna conservative, but we're still gonna progress. It's like, so you're not gonna conserve shit. You're still gonna change things.
Oh,
Just not gonna change things as quickly.
I just discovered that the 538 website. So you know how we had 338 doing our commentary.
Yeah.
The American version, which is run by Nate Silver, called 538, was owned by ABC News, or I guess, well, technically Walt Disney. Apparently, it was shut down in March.
Huh.
So apparently, their bullshit polls, which incorrectly called the last three presidential elections, apparently got everyone pissed off enough.
Well, no, they probably had their Doge funding cut.
Ooh. Oh.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Like their U.S. aid funding, because like a
Yeah.
whole bunch of journalists were being funded by U.S. aid, including Politico, who ran a whole bunch of like anti-man shit, anti-gamer shit. So yeah, I know a whole bunch of journalists are being laid off now that U.S. aid funding's drying up. I think it was like something like 7,000 journalists were discovered to be on the government payroll effectively.
Okay, so I discovered that, as I mentioned on election night, so the U.S. actually has a thing called exit polls. They have a couple of data pollsters stationed outside of major election zones, and they'll literally ask everyone, okay, how'd you vote? What's your age, your race, your religion? How old are you? Yeah, all that stuff. So you actually get some decent. The exit poll data tend to be quite reliable. Most people don't lie to them, and the pollster tends to know when someone is like, "Oh, I'm exactly 20 years old, born on January 1." When they're like bullshitting you, so they can like drop the garbage data.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm actually looking by.
That's why you need a
Um,
stock identity in your back pocket.
yeah. So let's see here. What does that mean? Oh, so Trump split the male vote, 18 to 29 years old, almost perfectly, a 1% advantage over the Democrats, which would be unheard of, like in 2020 and before that. Because the younger generations, the millennial generation, tended to be skew like 70+% Democrat. So splitting the Min in half was like a huge accomplishment for him, and it probably moved the needle in several states. I'm looking at the turnout rate for Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. They're all in the 70s, mid 70s%, right? So when you're turning out 5% more of your electorate, you're going to have a very good day at the poll, because those are all people who don't normally vote, and so the typical polls, the methodology they use to track the previous results in a riding, it doesn't capture those people who don't normally vote, and so you're typically stacking that deck on your side. So if you turn out 5% more people, almost all of that 5% went to you. So 5% of 100,000 people, do the math real quick, right? 20,000 people. That's wait, no, I didn't do that math correctly.
No, that'd be 5,000 people.
Shit.
5% of 100K is 5K.
Now go, yeah, of course. I don't know what I was thinking there. That must be the liquor talking. Anyways, now go through some of the riding by riding election results and add 5,000 to the Conservative, and you would be faced with a Conservative majority government. They'd have almost 200 seats.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like, despite Polyev dropping the ball so hard, a ton of those places were down to just razor thin margins.
I can actually tell you I can calculate that because I actually have a spreadsheet, tab delimited format of the entire results of the election night. So I can actually tell you how many ridings would have changed if the margin was less than 5,000. I'll need about 5 minutes to work that math if you want to.
Yeah, no, because I'm going to get in I'll give my commentary on the Trump stuff while you're doing that. Because this is the thing. Saw this in the comments section, and it really kind of nailed it home. It was like 3 months of Trump got Canadians to forget 9 years of Trudeau. And a couple of the charts that I've glanced at shows that overwhelmingly Trump was the number one concern amongst Canadian voters, and most of the vote was essentially enthusiastic boomers. So you had people who just get all their news via the television. They don't question anything. They just sit down and let CNN, MSNBC, CBC, CTV tell them what to think all day. And then they went out and voted against Trump. Not for Carney, against Trump. And then Poilievre, the Conservatives, everyone was in lockstep against Trump, because it just seems that the Conservatives could not imagine that there might be Canadians who like what Trump is doing. I think that Trump is actually, maybe good for Canada's economy in the short term. Well, whatever. Our economy's already in the shitbag. When the horse is already dead, hitting it once or twice more with the bat ain't gonna do shit. But they're also gonna look at the long-term effects. Yeah, you know what? Let's get some more domestic manufacturing. Let's break up some of this global hegemony. Let's get China, out of all these international affairs. But the Conservatives are like, no, we're gonna hate Trump too, and we're gonna position ourselves right in lockstep with the Liberals as anti-Trump. And I think that was, I'll admit, that was enough to almost keep me from going and casting my vote.
Holy shit. 59 ridings. 59 ridings.
Jeez.
5,000.
That would have been like a landslide victory.
Yeah. If the Conservative Party had not disavowed MGTOW, they could have counted on about between 3,000 and 5,000 more votes in that age demographic. Obviously, that's countrywide, and so although younger people do tend to live in the big cities, so that would have benefited the Conservatives the most in the areas that they lost in the big cities.
Yeah, jeez. But for reference, guys, when the election came through, it was about a split right down the middle, with 160 some odd on either side. No one broke that 172 mark, but both the Liberals and the Conservatives were in the mid to high 160s. This would have taken a 163, 165 split and pushed it all the way up to over a 200.
Yeah, the Conservatives would have had 199. Yeah, 199 would have been their count if they had flipped 59 ridings.
Yeah, 199. So
Yeah,
basically, they would have had 2/3 of the entire country.
Yeah, that's 24 seats over majority territory. Again, majority means that you own 50% plus one of the seats in the House of Commons, meaning that even if everyone gangs up to vote against you, you still win.
Yeah, because
I'm playing around with the numbers a little bit here to see if I drop it down to 3,000, what happens.
Archonite seems like Canada is more worried about Trump than the good of their country. Yes, yeah. Unfortunately, amongst like the older people who get all their information via the news and watching television, yes, yes, their concerns about the country are basically what's happening with my stock portfolio and what does the television tell me to think.
What the shit? Why is it doing that? Oh, whoops. Um,
And here's the thing, like these are the same people that absolutely they have no sympathy for the younger generation.
okay, I did miscalculate something in my 59 is actually underestimated.
Underestimated.
Yeah, underestimated because I actually accidentally included preliminary and validated results instead of separating them. So when I split it in half, I actually I undercounted. Okay, so if the threshold is 3,000 votes, the Conservatives would have won 60 more seats.
Yeah, that would have carried them over the 200 mark.
1, 2, 3. Oh, actually, no, because some of those were won by Conservatives. Hang on. 1, 2,
All right.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Oh, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Oh, 27. Yeah, 27 if the margin is 3,000. 27 seats would have flipped, which wouldn't get the Conservatives to majority territory, but yeah.
But what? No, like didn't. Well, what did they have at the final end? Like 149 or something? 148?
I think it was 140.
140 even, huh? All right, yeah. So that would have gotten them to 67, which I mean they could have formed a coalition with the Bloc, so at the very least minority government.
Let me double check the actual. Oh, 143 is their final validated total. The Liberals were 3 seats short. They got 169 in the end.
Yeah, and even with the absolute annihilation of the NDP, that's still enough to form a coalition with them.
Yeah. So, so 143 plus 27 would have got them 170 on the dot.
Yeah. Azebe, well, that's the thing. The NDP are usually a strong contender for third place. Well, it's only in this election they got absolutely annihilated to single digits. So the Bloc Québécois coming in with 20 some odd, like they were almost the kingmakers of this. Like it would have been like if both the Liberals and the Conservatives had like 150 seats split between like they had 150 seats each. The Bloc Québécois had enough seats to determine which of them would actually be able to form government. So
5,000 votes, it would have been 46,000 or 46 seats that would have flipped hands from the Liberals to someone else. And in most cases, it would have actually been either Conservative or a Bloc, just because the NDP was so bad this election. Oh, that's anyways. The point on the whole so the my final thought on the MGTOW thing is you scared away possibly up to 3,000 voters per urban seat, and those are votes you really could have used. You really needed those votes. The vast majority of those ridings that were within 5,000 were in Ontario. It's like 2/3 in this list here.
So between attacking MGTOW and openly declaring hate for Trump, which like honestly, I'm pretty sure that coming out against Trump definitely lost him support because the liberals are not people who hate Trump aren't going to vote for Paul Revere. They're not.
Yeah.
So like, I don't get why you seem to think that that was a good idea to try to get like disenfranchised liberals, because all you have to do to get the liberals to vote liberal is just scaremonger, like wave Trump in front of them, get them to have their minute of hate, and they'll come out in record numbers. Again, it's like you're trying to court vegans to come to a steakhouse by showing off your salad. They're not going to come to your steakhouse just because you show that you also have salad. They're going to go to their fucking vegan quinoa tofu joint.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's kind of what I'm playing with the numbers. And to think that typically the worse that a family court is on men, then the more you'll have this group of people. Like Canadian young men are actually pretty goddamn based. I think the warband is an accurate summary of just how base Canada is. Consider the fact we're like less than 1/3 of or 1/10 of the U.S. population. I'm pretty sure more than 10% of Chronic's audience is Canadian. Just by listening to the chat during the day.
Yeah, that wouldn't shock me.
I'd say almost a quarter. Almost a quarter of his warband audience would be Canadian. The popularity of someone like Jordan Peterson, who is he's like the Kevin Samuels of Canada, right? He's the guy who's just cooked enough to introduce you to the concept, to get the the normies.
Yeah, like
the movement.
Yeah, like he's cucked enough that he's able to go on public radio. That's the thing. Like he's not so base that public radio can't have him on.
Yeah, because if you go and introduce someone to TFM immediately, he'll probably scare them away.
Heck, you introduce him to me, he'll probably scare him away.
Yeah. Like, Chronic's not a good guy to lose your virginity to when it comes to the red pill.
well, it depends. It depends how recently your last breakup was, because he might be exactly what you need. But for somebody,
he might be a little rough. Yeah. But let's see. What else am I? Oh yeah. Wow. Remember that Milton East riding we were looking at all night? Apparently, it was won by 29 votes.
Jesus. That's how slim the fucking margins were, guys.
Okay, so if I won't play with that number, but anyways,
I wonder, like, if you just looked at I think Chronic's audience alone would have flipped ridings.
I think so.
Like, because Chronic can comfortably pull like 200 to 400 people. So, like,
he's good for 1,000 on most nights.
Yeah, true. Cause that's all. Yeah, that's also split between like YouTube and Rumble. So.
Yeah, he's good for 1,000 viewers most nights.
I mean, heck, Hammerhand absolutely would have flipped. Like Hammerhand's typical audience would have absolutely flipped ridings.
Well, shit, that would have flipped 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ridings with 1,000 people would have flipped.
That would have been enough to basically force the Bloc Québécois to be kingmakers.
Yeah, that would have like completely nullified the 7 NDP seats. In fact, the NDP would lose one of those seats to the Conservatives if that was the case. Or no, sorry, they would have lost that Montreal one to Bloc. Yeah.
Yeah, so you easily could have had a Conservative Bloc coalition with like triple digits. Triple digits vote difference.
I could nerd out about this all fucking night because I love playing with numbers. It's what I get paid to do. So, I mean, insights like this, you guys get them for free, and you should be so lucky. But remember, support Grey Ghost at streamlabs.com/GreyWalker4/tip. Show your appreciation for a nerd that plays with spreadsheets for a living.
Oh, heck, both of us play with spreadsheets for a living.
or send your Fs. Send Fs in chat for having to play with spreadsheets for a living. Although I've got a new career now, and it's much less spreadsheet based.
Yeah, more shuffling words around.
Yeah. Getting on the mic and spitting hot shit.
Yeah, courtroom dramas haven't quite been the same since everybody went to Zoom calls.
Oh yeah, we still do that. We still do that in many courtrooms, and some of the judges lamented because they said they lost something. There's something they can't quite you can't articulate, but something got lost with all of the lawyers just calling in now.
Well, yeah, that's because all the lawyers stopped wearing pants.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with not wearing pants on the street.
Well, as long as you don't stand up too much or get caught tabbing over. Oh, yeah. Some of the scandals that have come out of Zoom calls are fucking hilarious.
I think the worst thing I could get tabbed on is playing fucking Baldur's Gate 3 while I'm on a call.
Yeah, there's some scenes in there that you absolutely would not want to tab over to.
Oh, yeah. Halson in bear form fucking your avatar.
Like, yeah. Well, I mean, if you're on call, I mean, maybe if you're dealing with the Native Americans, like the First Nations people, like they get it. They get it.
Yeah, they get it. They can sympathize. God, and then the scene itself isn't so bad because everything's implied. Don't actually show you anything, but the text prompt that gets you there. Because what Halson says is he's like, your avatar is like, oh, I prefer the bear. Please change back. And Halson's like, wait, are you sure? It will be wild, untamed, and rather large. And then your response is, I like it large.
Yeah, so I guess you know what? Maybe we need to do a Steam survey and find out exactly how many women chose the bear.
Oh, that's a good callback. I wonder if Chad even got the reference on that one.
It's not that old.
You got the I don't know, boomer. Fucking old references here.
Yeah, if it's current year minus anything, it's ancient history. Like 9/11 and the Sumerians.
Shall we go on to the next article? Because
yes.
I want to talk about the next post-mortem.
Yeah, the pension dispute?
Yes. So what drove away the young voters, then what drove the older voters to embrace the Liberals? Well, I remember
money, motherfucker.
I remember saying in the election stream, if you put your hands on a senior's pension, they'll vote so far left they might actually hook around right to the Nazi side.
That we're going right past. Now they go right past Hitler and just straight to Stalin.
Yeah. So.
Straight to Mao. Just
now look at the timestamps on here, right? These were mistakes that happened long before the election. Because the election, well, it doesn't occur over a month. In fact, the lead up to an election is more important than the election itself. You'll see that there's an article number 2 right there. Polyev to run for Alberta's seat after an MP agrees to step down. That's Battle River Crowfoot. It's a 80+% conservative area.
Yeah, because now correct me if I'm wrong on this, because my source is the YouTube comment section. Carney didn't even have a seat when he was installed as interim prime minister, and he was just handed a seat in a dedicated Liberal area. Is that accurate?
Did he have a seat beforehand? No, he didn't, because he won the leadership. Now, here's the thing. The leader of the party with the most seats is the head of the executive. So he was not a legislator until he got a seat. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he didn't have a seat. I don't think he did not run in a by-election. Yeah, no, he didn't.
Yeah, well, +1 for the YouTube comment section.
but that's how you divide political power in Canada. Like our executive and legislative branch are very tightly intertwined, but they are separate and distinct operations of government. And besides, government was prorogued, which means the legislative side doesn't run. And then when Carney called the election, when he asked the governor general to dissolve parliament, the legislative doesn't run, but the executive continues to function in that case. So all Carney ever had to do was his executive function to begin with.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is and that would be one thing, but it's more so he got to be the face of Canada and speak on our behalf as a world leader. Like that's the thing that really grinds it. Like, because Trudeau was on the way out, he still got to fucking speak for Canadians on the public political stage. Because what actually happens in the parliament, like most Canadians, we don't see that shit. Most of us don't see it. Like, we only see like the press conferences and the press tours, and like when they make their public statements, and that's where a lot of the damage comes in.
Yeah. Anyways, well, this was the best cell phone I've ever seen in a long time. So, of course, in 2023, Alberta was threatening to pull out of the Canadian pension plan and make it a provincial pension plan similar to what Quebec does. Well, Alberta is overwhelmingly a very young province compared to Ontario and Quebec. And when you're dealing with a pension fund, the younger the group of people in the pension fund, the more profitable it is. Because you're not paying the money out, you're simply stashing it. You're earning more than you're paying out.
So
Alberta's very young population. Yeah. We have more people of working age than we do of retired age.
Yeah. So Alberta was basically tired of subsidizing the elderly in every other province and wanted to just be like, look, we'll look after our own and then we'll use the extra money for, us instead of paying for all the old retirees in Quebec and BC. Or
and
Ontario.
According to some casual estimates, Alberta as a province, despite, and we're getting into population statistics here, Gray. I don't know if you want to censor this, but Alberta's 4 million people out of a 33 million person country. So we make up a very small, just over 10% of Canada's population.
I mean, considering the amount of provinces and territories, that is still a pretty high percentage.
Yeah, it's higher than Saskatchewan. It's higher than most of the Atlantic provinces. It's higher than all the Atlantic provinces. Maybe combined. Anyways, but someone had calculated that despite being around, I think it's like 15% of our population, something in that neighborhood, we contribute almost 50% to the current Canada Pension Fund. Because Ontario and Quebec are net losers. They draw more than they contribute.
This is like the fucking flaw of democracy, the tyranny of the majority. The majority of the population basically gets to vote for the government to point a gun at a minority of the population and demand their money.
So that first paragraph there, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre has stepped into the pension debate between Alberta and Ottawa. Hang on. First paragraph. Yeah. Blaming the dispute on the Prime Minister and urging Albertans to remain in the Canada pension plan. So Pierre is saying you guys get screwed every way to Friday, but continue getting screwed because, please, I need to save my seats in Ontario and Quebec. Because this is a very popular thing to do in Alberta with the, the conservative population in Alberta. It's very unpopular in Ontario and Quebec, where Pierre's fighting for the majority of the seats. Just to give you an idea of how bad the population skew is, out of that 33 million that Canada's population, 14 million live in southern Ontario, and another 11 million in southern Quebec.
Yeah, so you basically have this
together, 25 out of 33 million live in the corridor from Quebec City to Windsor.
Yeah, so essentially you can... So your political tour, like if you wanted to tour over half the population, you just have to like drive for like if you drove for
700 kilometers, I think.
700,
Yeah, from
7,
Windsor to Quebec City, and you'd pass
taking the
almost
highways,
half.
that's half a day. Like literally half a day on the highways.
Yeah, and you'd pass half our population in the process, more than half. Um, Toronto alone is about 4.5 million people, and the GTA is about 7.8 million people. So Toronto alone is more population than all of Alberta. And then the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area, think like LA County, right? In terms of the Golden Horseshoe, about 7.8 million people. So almost a third of Canada lives just in the area around Toronto. Montreal is not very far behind. Montreal Island is about 3 million people. And then the greater Montreal area is, I think, like 6 or 5.5 million. So, and like all of Southern Ontario is densely populated. So you're concentrating the population so much in those two areas. And because we have proportionate representation, every riding's 100,000 people. So a place like Toronto, with its 4.3 million people, would have 43 seats on average just in the city. And then you zoom into an election map and you'll see, oh, yeah, look, all those tiny little shapes in the Toronto area, 43 seats. So
Yeah,
Pierre
so
was saying, I have to save those 43 seats. So Alberta stopped talking about stealing their pension. Now, the only people who could afford a house in a place like Toronto are the retired boomer generation. You know, after they pillaged the country for all of our wealth, crashed the market a couple of times, and then shipped all the good jobs out to China, they got to buy 3 houses.
yep, and they're retiring on, and they invested all in the stock market too, which they're desperately holding on. Is like, hey, so what if our kids and grandkids get screwed over? We need more money in our pension fund from the fucking stock market.
No, 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 no. It's not. That's not even the worst of it. So they're mostly in mutual funds. So it technically, yeah, it's in the stock market, but it's managed by a private firm, like an investment banker or something. Um, what's it called? Edward Jones would be a good example, or Wealth Simple. Um, no, what they did with their money is they spent it all. Then they turned to the government and say, "Well, I have no money left. I didn't save for retirement, so I need the public pension." Because the Canada Pension Fund is like the net that catches anyone who doesn't make enough money post retirement to pay their bills. And the way you'd end up in that situation is if you didn't have a private sector pension,
Or you
or
just
you didn't stash enough away in retirement, like you didn't have an RRSP, which is a registered retirement savings plan. If you don't have either of those, then you go on to the public pension, which is the Canada Pension Plan. And it's like a bottom amount of money that they literally just give every senior, regardless of their income level. And it's like, hey, thanks for being a worker for 35 years. Here's like $3,000 a month.
and then and the thing is that you put money into that, well, that drives inflation, meaning anyone who isn't on that is seeing their savings, if they were responsible and saved up, they're seeing that shit evaporate with inflation.
Yeah. So, oh, what do you think, chat? Pensions, good or bad? Yeah, everyone, all of our audience are like, the fuck you talk about pensions, man? Like,
Pension, yeah, because that's the thing. Like you and I both know that as soon as the boomer generation dies off, pensions are gone. Like
it only
they
benefits
literally
them.
just exist to hold the boomer vote. And as soon as the boomer vote is no longer deemed relevant, they will disappear.
So Pierre sells out what's best for Alberta, what's best for like actual conservative people. He sells it out to save his Ontario and Quebec seats. So again, liberal light. He's not distinguishing or differentiating himself from what the Liberals would do. The Liberals also want Alberta to stay in the CPP. Why? Because the Liberals love raping the Albertans. So I don't know why. Again, the biggest self-owned you could think of. Stay in the CPP, says Pierre Poilievre. By the way, I just checked on the Battle River Crowfoot riding.
Hmm?
It's actually not very far from where I live, but um, it's like the eastern rural area of Alberta and on the Saskatchewan border. Um, let's see. Oh man, the Conservative won there with 81.8% of the vote.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like Polyev, you're not going to win in the urban cities. At most, how many seats could he pick up? Maybe 10. He's not going to get all 43, not by a fucking long shot.
Well, he lost one in Calgary. Fucking Nixon. I did think about that.
I hope you
I
take.
actually did get in. I did actually get in touch with someone who worked his campaign, and I like chewed him out pretty good. I was like, "How the fuck did you do that? Manage to do that?" Um,
Yeah. But like, that's the thing is like defeat from the jaws of victory. Like for the sake of fighting over potentially winning 10 ridings that he basically was guaranteed to lose anyway. Like he turned his back on a whole shit ton of people and lost dozens. Like
by the
Penn.
way, I did. I talked to someone who was working Aaron Gunn's campaign out in BC.
Hmm?
Um, that one actually was a steal. And like, thank you very much to the NDP for coughing up that riding to a guy who was like, "Yeah, what the church did to the natives wasn't a genocide."
Oh, nice.
So apparently, this guy's like a super offensive tweeter, and he actually won. He's going to Ottawa because the NDP shat the bed so hard that we stole a riding we had no business winning. Because he's like, yeah,
Yeah.
the ground was real bad for us, man. Like there were so many hostile people there. But
Yet.
the liberals got 26% and the NDP got 32%, and then we won with 38.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And that's the other thing is like God, so many of these fucking politicians, Twitter is not the real world. The majority of the population is not on social media, it's not on Twitter. And like, did you see the whole like Reddit bot thing going on this week? Like the past couple
Oh
weeks?
yeah. Yeah, the separatist is like controlled by bots.
Well, that's the thing is like a huge amount of Twitter traffic. It was Twitter traffic before, but like Reddit traffic is just bots. So people have been saying like this is confirming the dead internet theory. It's like, yeah, we've got like how much internet traffic is just bots talking to bots, and you see it in the YouTube comment section too. Like video goes up immediately, like there's some sort of generic comment like gassing up the person at the top, and it's like, yeah, no, this shit is real. You've got all this AstroTurf support. Even a bunch of streamers too. Like they're just paying like they're paying bots to watch their stream to boost themselves in the algorithm.
Yeah. So all right. Well, that covers pensions. So that's what drove the senior vote over to the liberals. Was Polyev was like, "Oh fuck it, I'm just going to follow the liberals with the exact same policy they have for pensions. I'm going to alienate the young voters." So who actually did vote for the conservatives? But we don't do exit polls in Canada, so we're not going to have a really good idea unless you had access to heavy partisan data. And as someone who had access to heavy partisan data, I'm not going to show it on stream because that would be highly illegal. But I can tell you that one of the most reliable predictors for someone voting conservative is a family who owns a house. And if you look at the demographics of Canada, that is a shrinking minority.
Yep. I was like, yeah, because surprise, surprise, the more people that you economically disadvantage, and then purposefully throw everyone else who like could go for you under the bus, you don't get a lot of people.
All right, the third link I threw you was actually the Elections Canada raw data.
So here we go.
So on the top, you'll see some buttons that you can click on there: national electoral districts, provinces and territories and major centers. So let's start at the provinces and territories. It's going to give you the breakdown of percentage across an entire province. And it's all in that bar graph data. So let's start with Alberta. We'll go alphabetical on this one.
All right, we got a. Okay. There we go.
Yeah, and then click on display result to the right.
Yeah.
So you'll see one NDP seat, 2 Liberal seats. The vote inefficiency for the Liberals, 27.9% versus 63.5% for Conservatives. Now, this is, what's up, Raisin? This is, the home heartland of the Conservative movement in Canada, and fully a quarter of them are voting Liberal in a province that is actively attacked by the Liberal Party. Yes, it's more nerd talk, Raisin.
Yeah.
If it's too smart for you, I can give you the abridged version.
Yeah, like let's put it this way. There are 25% of the Alberta population are parasites.
Now,
What,
in terms of now the Clarity Act, in term,
I mean, I guess with the NDP, it's more like 33%. So one in 3. So like, look to your left, look to your right. One of you is a parasite.
It's a fucking commie.
Yeah, one of you is a communist.
Well, the Communist Party is fourth from the top there. They got 800 votes.
I mean, yeah, but the Christian Heritage Party, which is apparently Canada's KKK, got 4 times as much.
Yeah, it's actually cool that they exist.
Well, heck, the Marxist-Lenin Party. I was thinking, you had a vote split between the communists and the Marxist-Leninists.
I mean, I'm telling you, these graphs are always interesting. The Rhinoceros Party got 600 votes. The Libertarian Party, who even knew they were still around? The Green Party got 10,000, and PPC got 20,000. Which
and both got 0 seats.
Yep. Well, they barely registered with the 0.9%. Yeah, like, what can I say? In a very, very conservative province, Maxime Bernier's party was totally useless. Never even barely registered a blip on the radar.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, this the polls down here, 8,004 out of 8,006. There are two poll boxes in Alberta that would be for Canadian Forces bases that are abroad. So CFB Wainwright would be one big one, and Cold Lake would be the other. Those have people who are actively serving abroad, so they don't have those counted yet. Which would only be a couple dozen votes, anyways. But yeah, they'll get those registered. So Alberta's turnout was actually pretty high. It was almost 70%. But what does it do? Like, it only count the number of seats that were available. 37 out of 300 and 42? Yeah, 342. Nothing.
Yeah, so the highest producing in terms of wealth province gets less of a say than what is essentially a giant money sink with Toronto alone.
Yeah. So now let's head over to Nova Scotia.
They were interesting.
And look at how inefficient the Conservative vote was there. They took 35% of the popular vote and got 1 seat. This is Canada's first past the post system. So coming in second doesn't mean anything. Canada's just a big California, but cold. Yeah.
Not wrong.
Now, and look at Nova Scotia has what is Nova Scotia's population? So let's see,
800K, yeah.
Yeah, right on 800K. Alberta's registered population, it was 3.2 million. 800K divided by 3.234.
4 times. Yeah, Alberta's 4 times the population.
4 times the population, but not 4 times the seats. We should have 44 seats. And that would be the population divide in Canada. Now go to a place like Prince Edward Island, and it gets even more skewed.
Oh God, yes. 4 seats for 123,000.
123,000 people. Well, let's do that math. 3.2 million divided by 123,822. 25.8 times the population. Rounded up to 26. 26 times the population.
So yeah, so if you had the population,
26 times 4 is 104 seats.
Yeah. So
if Alberta was represented at the same ratio of people to ridings as Prince Edward Island is, then Alberta should have 104 seats. Instead, it only has 37. Can you tell why people in Alberta are pissed? Okay, maybe it's just like small outliers, right? Well, because Prince Edward Island's a very small province, geographically and population-wise. Well, let's go to a place like Quebec.
Quebec.
Quebec's population is actually bigger than Alberta's.
A little over twice as much.
Yeah. Now, what do you want to bet that Quebec has more than twice the number of seats?
It's looking pretty close to twice the number of seats. Got what, 77? 78 seats.
Quebec has 78 seats, and if Alberta had a similar amount, then it would be 39. So not far from the 37. But again,
still underrepresented.
Yeah. And this is like our big population center, so they get the benefit of, we have a sparse rural northern area, but we also have giant cities in the south that we can split.
Yeah, and then on top of that, like the Conservatives in Quebec will overwhelmingly vote for the Bloc Québécois.
Yeah. So, anyways, what's up, Chaz? Hey, there's some real autism going on in this stream. You should probably be...
yeah, Chaz, hit me up on Discord if you want in on this. Like we're talking about a whole bunch of numbers and and shit, so...
we got super autistic with the spreadsheets.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We got charts and graphs, man. Like, the only thing autists like more than that is trains.
Okay, now back up to the top of the buttons there and change over to the major population centers. And then choose, we'll start with Calgary.
Calgary.
A very hilarious result when it comes to efficiency of vote. 14-1 in the seats, but yet 32.7% in popular vote compared to 62.5.
Again,
okay,
so if you're in
Calgary,
look to your left, look to your right. One of you is a communist.
Well, okay, the NDP got 3% in Calgary. That's hilarious. The PPC got 0.6%. Yeah, it basically was a two-party state. It really was.
Yeah.
Anyways, so when you talk about Alberta separation, Alberta succession, you have to run that board. You can't do 50% plus 1 in the referendum. That's not what the Constitution says. It has to be a clear majority. A clear majority on a clear question. It's called the Clarity Act, which means that you're going to need probably 60%, probably 66%. Well, guess what? 32.7% voted for the party that screws Alberta left, right, and center every night, and sometimes twice on Saturdays.
Yeah. Is 62.5% enough for them to leave?
Probably not. And that's assuming that everyone who voted Conservative would vote to leave, which would be like that would be an impossibility.
Yeah, Yeah, no, you're hard pressed to even get 50%.
Yeah, like possibly half of that would vote to leave Alberta,
But
or for Alberta to leave
that is
Canada.
Calgary. Like, what's population of Calgary versus all of Alberta? Like, would the rural
One
places be enough to
1.5 million is the population of Calgary, so a very large
1.5? Yeah, so you're getting like at most another 150,000. So you could
yeah.
maybe tack on another 10%.
Well,
So you might be able to scrape 60% of the population of Alberta, but that'd be it.
yeah, then hit up Edmonton, which is another 1.2 million.
Oh,
So
God.
you're talking
That's
two
another
thirds of
major
Alberta's
population.
population.
Yeah, 'cause
Yep, Edmonton.
that's the thing is
Hit
like
up
with the
Edmonton.
increase in population density comes an increase in liberals.
Yep. Look at Edmonton, 57.4% conservative.
Plus, like you basically got 40%. So
Yeah,
so up
40%
there, four
conservative.
four out of 10, like it's worse than 1 in 3. 4 out of 10 people in Edmonton are communists.
Yeah. So
Must be the
this is the
cold.
challenge. This is the challenge. There is no what's the way out for us if that many enemies live within our own borders? Okay, let's go look at Toronto. Now, what do you want to think? Do you think there are more liberal voters in Calgary or more conservative voters in Toronto?
I hmm.
What would you guess? What would you guess?
I would guess that there's actually a large number of conservative voters in Toronto. They're just drowned out due to inefficiency.
All right, let's
So
see.
so let's see. So target number is 33% to beat Calgary and 40% to beat Edmonton.
Yep.
Probably wrong with this, but let's see. Oh no. Oh, there we go. 42%.
Yep.
So yes, there's
There's a ton.
more conservatives in Toronto than there are liberals and NDP in Edmonton.
Mm-hmm. And yet Toronto gets swept completely red without exception. Well, except for that one York Center guy who was the exception. Oh, they're including 13. Oh, yeah, those must be 905 seats. So greater Toronto area, not
Yeah.
Toronto proper. But look at how many seats Toronto alone represents.
Yeah, Toronto, the
53 seats,
GTA
1.3
alone,
million people.
GTA alone is more than all of Alberta.
Yep. Roughly 53 million people are represented in this
Well,
collection.
5.3. We don't have 53 million in all of Canada.
Oh yeah, 5.3. And then 3 million of them actually voted.
Yeah, three out of 4.5. So yeah, no, basically exactly two thirds of the population.
So, anyways, I think that's enough with the graphs and the charts here.
Oh, but Chaz isn't on yet.
Well, he missed his chance.
Yeah. Did the post-election results make Tim gain weight? No, honestly, I think comparing these avatars, he's actually lost weight.
Oh no, I definitely gained weight in real life.
Yeah, well, your avatar lost weight. I mean, like I'm not this jacked in real life, so we both get to have fantasies here.
Isn't that sad that that's the fantasy view of myself, which is like just yeah. Hey, that's my
Yeah,
work attire. What do you want from me? What do you
yeah,
want?
like 30 pounds lighter and in a suit that costs an extra digit.
Yeah. All right. Last link in the list I sent you, which is
Separatist sentiment.
the separatist sentiment in Alberta. So
3 in 10. That's not good.
in Alberta and Saskatchewan, say they'd like to leave if Liberals form the next government.
Of course, Quebec. Of course, fucking Quebec would try to leave again. The difference is, like, Alberta could actually survive on their own. They'd probably do quite well. Quebec cannot.
Look at the change. So the graph represents the people who already were separatists to begin with,
Yeah.
and then people who would become separatist if the Liberals won. So it only jumps by 5% in Alberta, but it jumped by 13% in Saskatchewan and barely moved in Quebec.
Well, yeah, Quebec is Quebec again. Like they voted for the bloc, but I mean, I think Ontario's fascinating too because it more than doubled.
So I don't know how much deeper you want to go down this rabbit hole. I mean, the separatism thing is it's a fun meme. It has no chance of working because of the numbers I just showed you.
Yes, like honestly, that's fairly, honestly, quite sobering. Which considering,
Yeah, it makes you depressed, doesn't it?
well, I don't know. I've kind of that's the thing. It's not even depressing, like sad. It's the true depression where it's like I'm just numb to this shit.
Yeah, yeah. Just grab another Midol or something. Xanax, whatever.
Well, okay. Well, my thing is like, because here's the thing. I do not like, even if Poilievre had won. Like, I did not see Canada's problems being solved.
Oh,
like
we
just
haven't
with
even done the good one yet. Hang on.
oh. Okay. Yeah. Because here's the thing. I'm good to go for 3 hours if you've got 3 hours of stuff to talk about here.
Oh,
like
fuck.
this.
I don't know if I want to go that long.
No,
You
but
really
like
get away with so much nerd stuff. Like I hope Chronic gets a chance
Hey,
to
we-
stop in.
yeah, like we got 14 viewers though. Like Chronic stream wrapped up, so let's at least get one big segment in.
Okay, I did save the best for last because this is gonna go full like. Well, okay, let's go.
Nerd shit.
No, it's gonna go full racism.
Oh, God. Unfortunately, I'm not streaming the Rumble, guys. So this stuff is currently backed up on Odyssey, which I will try to download separately and get here because, oh boy, this stream's probably not surviving the night. Okay. All right, guys. Let's do this.
Skip to the 23-minute and 14-second. Now, using that bar on the bottom is a bit glitchy. I don't know if you want to do it live, but
23.
oh, kill the audio too. Don't let the audio come in.
All right.
Mute it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what that person says is not important. Oh, there we go. So that's the graph I'm looking at right now. Look at the spike in Canada's immigrant population.
Yeah, and for reference, for reference, guys, South Asian is India.
Yeah, India. We call them South Asian for some reason unknown to us.
Well, no, we do. We call them South Asian so that they can be confused with, with Chinese, Japanese, and Koreans,
which incidentally are separated out in this graph. It literally is just immigrants from India. Look at the goddamn spike there, and then look at the spike in black.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Is like, look at this. Like, we have South Asian, Southeast Asian, West Asian, Korean, and Japanese. Like, and then we have black,
Arab.
Oh no, also Philippine. Like, we literally basically divvy up, like we divvy up like Asia by fucking country, like almost by country.
So,
but then it's just black.
You remember when we were talking about Brampton being like New Delhi of Canada?
Yeah.
This is what happened. We imported, what is that? 500,000 people.
More than that. That's closer to 700,000.
Yeah. And these are Canadian citizens, by the way. This graph represents Canadian citizens.
Yeah. This isn't illegal immigration, guys. Like, this is not people hopping the border. This is they did their paperwork. We can't deport them.
So, do you remember when I said, hey, you could have flipped 50 whatever ridings with 5,000 people? Great. How many ridings could you flip with 700,000 people?
All right. Well, let me just. So we've got 342 ridings. Let's round that to 350. 700,000 people. That's 2,000 people per riding. If you split them all out evenly, 2,000 people per riding. So you're looking at least 30 seats.
Yes, but then if you don't split it out evenly,
Because you put them in
go
areas specifically like to
yeah,
stack the vote in a certain direction.
advance to 2407. And Canada's urban centers are home to 95.3% of our racialized population. Toronto, Montreal, Calgary, Edmonton.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
you know those 33% of liberals and communists in Edmonton and Calgary? They're not white. Gray, they're not the white people.
yeah. So it's like look to your left, look to your right. The one who isn't white is a con. Yeah, yeah. Look to your left, look to your right. The one of you that isn't white is a communist.
So, and then you'll see Ontario's getting loaded up with black population. So the black population in Canada comes from two places primarily. Um, the the parts of Africa that are at war with each other. So not South Africa, but Ethiopia, Somalia, Kenya, Nigeria, Darfur, Rhodesia, whatever they called it now, Zimbabwe. Like, oh, Chad. Like that's, and then the other proportion of the black population in Canada comes from Haiti, and like literally nowhere else.
Yeah, and a lot of them end up in Quebec too. But no, I think you like I've driven down.
It's a French colony. They speak French there.
Yeah, I think like and I've driven down through Toronto like for work related purposes, and yeah, like straight up, you go down like one side street is like you would spot Waldo faster than you'd spot a white person.
Holy shit, I'm going to use that. By the way, look where the South Asians populate in Canada, which is literally everywhere. The one place they don't go to is
even
Quebec.
the fucking territories.
Yep.
They don't go to Quebec though. They don't go to Quebec.
Nope.
Everywhere but Quebec.
Quebec's going black, people.
Yeah, the Indians don't go to Quebec, so apparently the way to fight off to the Indians is to be French.
Quebec, more like Queblack.
K-Black. That's what it's going to be. It's just going to be K-Black, and that's going to be the new Quebec.
So if you drive down, and it's not even the big cities, like obviously 95.3% live in the big cities, but if you drive through like any town in a rural part of Canada, all of the like family diner restaurants have been converted to what are they called? Donair places.
I've seen that.
Donairs.
I've seen that, and like every like you cannot find a Tim Hortons that doesn't have at least one Indian, if not a majority Indians. Like it was actually shocking. I went grabbed some food from Tim Hortons, and then like Indian person on the fucking drive-through go inside because apparently they couldn't tell the fucking order correctly, and literally the only like place basically all white people, but they put the one person with the thick Indian accent on the drive-through.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how it goes because that's who's gonna. I mean, they're whatever. I don't want to go into too deeply down that rabbit hole because it'll probably just get your stream yeeted.
Anyways, the instant we brought up the race graph, I think this stream got yeeted.
Yeah. Now here's a fun one. If you advance to 2704 in this presentation. Let's talk about the rise of atheism and the death of traditionalism.
Yes.
Look at the number of people who have no religion or secular perspectives. The dark blue. Quebec, which is like legendarily Catholic at once upon a time. Like Quebec was founded as a Catholic state. What's up? Oh, hey, look, Chronic.
Hey!
Oh, Chronic, you got to get in here, man. You missed the first part where we were talking about Polyev, fucking disavowing the far right wing misogynistic movement. Anyways, so look at places like Alberta. Now, Alberta is like God's homeland. They're very religious here. 48.1% Christian, 40% atheist.
How much you wonder
Look
about
to your
that's all
left,
concentrated in the cities too.
look to your left, look to your right. You know, two of them are Panjit, one's a communist, and two of them don't believe in God.
All right, ooh, all right. Chronic's time to come in, so let's figure out how I can add someone to a fucking call.
You boomer.
Yeah, no, it's
So, I mean, is it making sense? Great. Is it all starting to make sense why Canada is so cucked? Why the election results went exactly the way they did?
yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Is like it's not that it never made sense. You just there you go. Add him to the call here.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have to do some like weird group thing.
Oh, apparently I'm not friends with you on Discord.
That is hilarious.
So yeah, accept the friend request, and then I can add people to the DM, and that should let them in the call.
Okay, good. There you go.
There we go. 1 second while it reboots. Hey, there we go. Now we got everybody in the call. As soon as Chronic unmutes himself.
Yo,
Good
what's
job,
up?
Boomer.
I just fucking oh sorry. I just shilled this on Twitter, Discord, and YouTube. So let's see if we get some people up in here.
Oh, hell, hey, we're up to 20, so it's working.
We'll see.
How you been,
Yeah,
Chronic, man? It's been a
I didn't
minute.
know I was gonna stream for freaking like 4 hours, but I was having too much fun talking about the Shiloh situation on Rumble. Oh, it's hilarious.
I know. I was following it, and I'm like,
I was like roasting the crap out of Somalians, and one of my fans calls like, "Yo, dude, I'm Somalian." I'm like, I felt so bad. He's like, "Nah, man, screw those guys." I'm like, "Oh, good."
yeah, isn't it funny? Isn't it funny? The people who tell you that Somalia is a shithole are the people who live in Somalia. The people who tell you communism is fucked is the people who lived under a communist government. Go fucking figure.
Yeah, I just think it's funny because the most accepting group online are racists. Like they don't care what race you are as long as you're racist.
Yeah. uh Jesus. Um
Be back in a sec, guys.
Yeah, fear of God. If Pierre Polivier wins, well, he didn't. So, like he didn't win. Like this is not the pre-show. That was earlier this week. No, this is the post-mortem. The damage has been done, and Pierre did absolutely everything in his power to alienate. Like I guess who did it better at shit talking their primary audience? Pierre Polivier or Polygon?
oh.
Because
Hey, wasn't his nickname PP?
Yep. Polyev. Okay, yeah, great. Pull up that first article.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, Chronic, I want to get your reaction to this. So, circa 2022, the Conservative Party leader, some of his staffers are pretty red pilled. So when they're uploading videos on his official YouTube account, they started adding the MGTOW tag.
Oh yeah, I remember that story. I covered it like twice. They like one guy just added the tag MGTOW, and it caused the entire Canadian media to have like another menstrual cycle, like the day after the last one.
So I was able to demonstrate using some data from the people who voted for Trump in the 18 to 25 demographic. that just based on the spread here in Canada, scaring this group of people away may have cost Polyev about 3,000 to 5,000 votes per riding, which would have flipped about 56 seats.
Yeah, so basically, Polyev disavowing MGTOW cost him a majority government.
But yeah, I wanted to. I mean, I guess you have talked about this before, but I mean,
not on my stream. He hasn't.
Well, it's funny, Chronic. People under the age of 35 are the largest voting bloc now compared to boomers because they're all dying off. But they're also the least motivated to turn out. So when people like Trump turn them out, they were skyrocketing the voter turnout rates into the mid and high 70s. These are people who don't normally vote. And so I've been nerding out so hard on like, okay, what happens if you add this many votes to this riding, and what does it change the result? But I mean, at the end of the day,
it's weird because like in the U.S. at least, the most liberal people by the age demographic are boomers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that changed because the pendulum is correcting back to because now, there are some people, like if you were born in 1985, you very likely have either very old teen or young adult children by now, right? You're 40 years old. It's very possible you have a 20-year-old kid.
Yep.
So that 85 to 80, I would say 85 to 95 generation of people were very, very left wing. These are the people who were driving the like, is math racist? Right? These are the women who became teachers and now are becoming cat ladies into their 40s as their eggs all dried up.
So, yeah, it's like essentially now the millennials have to experience the consequences of the liberal stuff, whereas when they were voting for it, primarily, 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, they were either like fresh out of teenagers or they were in college living off of student loans. So they didn't actually have to deal with the experiences of like, hey, this is the cost of liberal leadership. Now that they've actually got to be out in the workforce earning a paycheck and they're seeing 30% of that disappear to finance their parents' vacations, yeah, they're a little miffed.
Yeah, by the way, Chronic, I wanted to give my, F's in chat. I heard about your condition. I think, Gray said like you're away from work or whatever. Yeah. It sounds like the goth girl finally broke your dick.
Yeah, dude. I didn't think I'd get liquid cancer from a goth girl, but I guess I did. It fucking sucks.
Jesus Christ.
No, it really sucks. Is I can't. I mean, like I could, but I really can't have any alcohol. So.
Oh yeah. You'll get through it though. If it didn't kill Jim Augustine, then you'll be fine.
Yeah, I just gotta find some autistic 5-year-old black kid and call him a slur in public. Maybe I'll get it paid for.
Oh boy, but anyways, yeah, my F's in chat for you, but
oh, thanks, man.
No, it's we're just talking about how fucked Canada is here. We were going through like all of the hard data.
Oh, dude, if I was in Canada with Canadian healthcare, I would have died 5 years ago.
Probably.
I would have died
in the waiting
room. I would have died in the waiting room. They're like, oh.
But anyways, yeah, if you want to find out what happened to Chronic, I'm sure he talked about it on his stream or whatever. But
that's fine. Now the whole Canada thing is kind of funny because like basically I was blaming Trump, but it's like it really I know you're an acceleration, Tim, but
yes,
I think Ray, are you an accelerationist too?
I just wanted enough time to flee.
You just want to go to the Philippines? That's you're accelerationist after you leave the country.
That's the thing. It's like, look, I have no illusions that we are thoroughly fucked. It's just a question of like, do I flee to the U.S. and go for the warband compound, or do I flee for the Philippines and prepare for war with China? Like, I'm accepting that I'm screwed either way. It's just a question of, do I want easy access to self-defense tools, or do I want my highest chance of having a family of 5 without surrogacy?
Yeah, it's not a good situation all around. And also, right when you jumped in, Chronic, we were showing everyone a graph that showed that Canada imported 700,000 Indian immigrants who became citizens, so they can vote.
Yeah, because
And they're not even
700,000.
the good Indians either. They're like the leftover trash.
Oh, by
yeah,
the way, go back to Gray. You were on an age distribution chart. The vast majority of immigrants we accept into Canada are working age men,
yeah,
also known as army age men.
yeah. And here's the thing: a large number of the Indians too, because we also have a bunch of problem Indian
Right there.
illegal immigration on top of that, and that is basically like they'll come here on a student visa, and then they'll just disappear off the radar.
And they'll use up all the food banks, and they'll like post about it.
Look at that spike in the men and women at the working age level. So basically, our entire working age population is being replaced by this. It'd be
Well,
even
I
worse.
mean,
It'd
you
be
guys
so.
need to build a lot more Tim Hortons if you're going to give them all jobs, right?
Man, do you know how many Tim Hortons there are?
Oh, hey! We have call centers too, you know.
You do?
Yeah, but I'm sure they're working.
And basically everywhere in Brampton, like there's entire cities which are basically all Indian population.
There are 3,558 Tim Hortons locations in Canada.
I need more.
Yeah,
The,
one on every
the
corner.
flow's not stopping. Y'all are literally importing the entire country of India.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And, so you work it out, right? A population of 33 million people, and we imported in 5 years 700,000 of just one demographic.
They're pooping on your beaches. Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
a funny thing. It's
Yeah,
funny
literally with Saga Beach, we got them on camera, and I'm pretty sure I've seen them in public too. Like they'll get out of their car, like open the passenger side door, and just drop a squat right there.
If I was in Canada, I don't know. I feel like I'd be a Twitch streamer, and I would just be like on I'd just call it like Curry Poop Patrol, and I would just run around looking for instances.
What you need is one of those trash pickers, and then you pick up the turd, you just like slap them with it.
I mean, it's honestly a question of like who's worse for leaving their poop around, Indians or Canadian or like dog walkers. As at least the dog walkers will usually leave it in a bag.
Yeah, then they throw the bag off the trail into the bush or something.
No, they'll just leave it on the fucking trail, or they'll stuff it in the nearest tree hollow. Like I've been down through, like High Park, like it is like it's like the equivalent of finding used condoms. It's all just fucking neon bags filled with fucking waste scattered all over the place.
Yeah. It's but other than that, other than your body giving out on you, how you been? Chronic.
Guess he stepped away from the mic for a sec.
Or he's muted. Fucking boomer. Anyways. I don't know. Where do you want to go? I'm not quite sure where to pivot to from here. When it comes to the federal election post-mortem.
Well,
I covered the two biggest demographic shifts. If you kind of want to dive in, there's some other interesting trends that came out too. I can dive into those. I don't really have a fancy graph for those ones.
Well, I mean, I guess ultimately, like the final questions would be like, so what does this mean for the next 4 years? Because, like, I'll be honest, I don't really see the Conservatives winning the next one either, because they don't. Like, look, Paul Revere, like, he's clearly trying to hang on to power. But for all I know, he's trying to pull a Jagmeet Singh and just hold on long enough to get that pension.
Oh,
but
Poilievre's been an MP for 20 years. He's already got it.
All right. So, but that's the thing. Is like, it just feels like
he will get paid for the rest of his life. Don't worry.
Yeah. He's got his bag.
Yeah.
Oh, and he married an immigrant wife too.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Is like, there is no right wing. This last election has essentially solidified the Conservatives as just blue liberals.
Yep.
So I don't think that we would see anything resembling a shift unless all the boomers were to just suddenly drop dead, and COVID didn't do that. So,
No.
but then on the
hard
other,
on the lockdowns.
but then with all the completely legal immigration on top of that,
Yeah.
like
we're screwed. We will never have a conservative government again.
well, that's the thing. And even if we get a conservative government, it'll be conservative in name only, like sign on.
Yeah, it'll be a conservative. I mean, look, disavowing that young male base was just set the stage for what was to come for the next 5 years from Polyev.
And I say, and
where
I think the next party that like authentically, and this is for most Western countries, the next party that authentically decides to give power to young men again is going to win, and there's a chance they won't need the ballot box to win. Wink, wink.
that's the thing. It's going to like.
Well, yeah, they call that the Quiet Revolution.
Yeah, that's the you're not like this country is going to see its political system collapse before it changes.
Because everyone's going to get pissed, and it's going to be Convoy 2.0, but it's going to be with a vengeance.
Yeah,
It's
so
the Convoy Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, and that's why my plan is stack cash, get passport in order, get get enough skills that I can work remote, which I'm making good progress on that. I'm actually doing quite well on that regard, and then get the fuck out of the country.
Stack cash, smoke cash.
You guys have a lot of Pakistani immigrants to your country?
A good chunk, yeah. A good, it's more Indian, but there's a decent chunk.
Yeah, so Indians are probably going to start like attacking them.
It's happened a couple times in Toronto, but we're talking like.
Well, now that Pakistan and India are getting ready to nuke each other, we're definitely
gonna... so we're gonna have another Israel-Palestine conflict here.
Well, if you have enough Pakistanis in the UK, they have a shit ton of Indians and Pakistanis, and they're straight up in the streets like going to war. And it's always whenever I see those videos, I'm like watching like these like white leftist cops get beaten, and I'm like, thank God, at least one of my enemies is getting hurt.
All right, well, so what you're saying is next time I go to Toronto for a work resupply, I'm going to have to add some armor paneling to the F-150.
No, I mean, look, all you got to do is just like, just support the other side. Be like, no, I support Pakistan. It's all Indian immigrants.
Yeah, India outnumbers Pakistan like 20-1 here.
Okay, so Indian flags on the back for when going to Toronto. Roger that.
Yep. Mm-hmm. That's why, like, anything that does happen wouldn't last very long because it's such a staggering, like, skewed to one side of the conflict. The Pakistanis that are here, like, we have a lot of Saudis and quite a few Iranians, but Pakistan would be like small.
I'm thinking of the best way to defend the U.S., and I think we should import a couple million Pakistanis and put them on the border with Canada to make a buffer zone. Because once the Indians take over, they got to deal with the Pakistanis first, right? I mean,
man, next time I drive to Great Falls, Montana, I'm going to be in for a shock.
Just put them all in Vermont, like right on the northern border, like Vermont, New York, just shit ton of Pakistan.
Somehow.
God damn. But,
yeah.
All right. So, I mean, Gray, where do we go from here? Like, okay, so what would be some of the solutions, so to speak? Because clearly there's no political solutions. So how do we cope and seethe? Because cope and seethe is all we have left.
Well, okay. Well, obviously we have lie flat. Like, I think that like MGTOW plus minimalism is like what the average guy can do. It's like I'd say so speaking to the average Canadian guy, like the way that I look at it is results oriented. So what do you want? If you want a family, like ideally like with children, that's the thing. Like I do not have any respect for the guys that just want a wife for the sake of having a wife. Like if you want a wife, there is a single mother in her mid-30s right now with bastards willing to wife you up. Absolutely, you can get a wife. Low enough standards, you can get a wife. It's like
I think we just gave Chronic a second cancer.
So
to be great.
yeah, so like I guarantee, like if guys want a wife, they can get a wife. So no, like, when I think like if guys want something that's actually difficult, that's families, which means you either got to go the surrogacy route, in which case you got to stack cash because it's expensive,
Yep.
or you have to leave the country. And to the best of my knowledge, the Philippines is the only place where you're not going to get divorced, but you do have to go for Catholic marriage, not a civil marriage. So start reading your Bible and pray that. Oh, actually, on that note, have you guys seen that top candidate for the new pope?
The black guy?
Yes.
He's based.
Yes.
Black Pope is gonna be great.
That's the thing, is like it would be awesome because the progressives want him because he's fucking black, and I'm like, you know what? If he actually is as based as what he's saying,
He hates
I'm all.
Muslims. It's fucking
That's the
hilarious.
thing. I'm all for this. I will take based black pope. Give me that
Holy shit,
BDP.
like the Clarence Thomas of popes.
Yes.
Oh, you
That's
got
the
me
thing. Like,
excited.
let's get the Clarence Thomas Sowell of popes.
If
He's
this
gonna
black
launch the
pope-
Crusades again.
If this black pope drops the N word on his confirmation sermon, I'm converting to Catholic.
Well, that's the thing. Like, for me going out to the Philippines, I'm basically going to have to convert to Catholic because that's where, like, majority of the population is Catholic, which is, hey, awesome. Like, you still run the basic risks, but I figure if you want, like, that traditional wife with kids, you got to fly out to the Philippines. And if you're going to want that Western money, you're going to have to learn remote work. So that's my strat. If you happen to be more in Chronic's field and you have a much higher paying career where children are something.
If I can practice telemedicine, live in the Philippines, and get paid American doctor salary.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Yeah, okay, but that's the thing. It was like, for you, it's an option on the table. For me, scraping together 20 grand for a kid, little more difficult.
Yeah, well, that's true. But I don't know. I'm just not attracted to Filipino women.
Yeah, that's fine.
I can't
I mean,
change
they can be good housewives. That's
I mean, alternatively,
wife up here.
I mean, alternatively, if you found a woman who was willing to move with you to the Philippines and get married under those laws,
a white woman wanting to move to the Philippines. Yeah.
No.
You're asking me to find the Philosopher's Stone, Gray.
Even I know that wasn't gonna work. Jesus.
Yeah. I honestly, I think Chronic would have a better time actually bioengineering a literal unicorn than finding that.
You ride the unicorn into DC. I'm your king.
So that's the thing. So for guys who want families, depending on your income, you either have surrogacy as an option, or you got to go out to the Philippines.
Okay.
Either way, it's going to be minimize your expenses, stack your cash, boost your skills, and hit the gym because being physically fit is never a bad thing.
Yeah, go to the Yukon and become a mountain man. Like, seriously.
That's the thing. And now, if you don't want the family, or that's not necessary, or that's not a necessity for you, well, then your options have opened up significantly. And I'd say, yeah, rural United States would probably be your best bet because when shit hits the fan, if you are well established with a small community that has a very close-knit mindset, you're probably going to be okay when shit hits the fan.
You can bandit max and just spend the time in the decadence learning the skills to be the best bandit possible.
Absolutely. So that's the thing. So you basically go somewhere between mountain man and bandit maxing. If you don't want. You also have just straight up hedonism. If you're like, you know what, do not give a shit about living through the collapse. I'm just going to enjoy what I can while I can. It's, that's an option too. Bandits got to have somebody to loot.
Well, for the 46 people who are watching, the vast majority of you are not going to change anything and just keep doing what you do and listening and making sure that you subscribe and like these streams so that we get the word out to more people. But
Yeah. Shout out to Chronic for literally tripling my stream watchers. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, bad. I was like, damn, I forgot to show this.
Well, we were hardcore nerding out, so I think it was time to maybe move on to a bit more practical conversation. But I could nerd about this kind of. I mean, I used to do this for a living. Now I've had a different career, but
They're practical. During the fall, do you get more beans by running to the bean section and throwing it in your jacket, or do you get more beans by knocking out the people running out the store with the beans?
Clearly, you wait outside the front door and knock out the people with beans.
It's just upping my strength stat. Like, it doesn't work like that, man. You're like, it doesn't?
Well, that's the thing too. Is hey, there's one thing in Canada you can still buy as an SKS rifle. Get your gun license. Learn how to fucking hit a target at 100 yards, because most of the people who these fucking preppers or whatever down in the States who have like 300 guns and 1,000,000 rounds of ammo couldn't hit the broadside of a barn if they were standing beside it.
I think most of Western militaries couldn't do it.
Yeah. So you want to be sure that you are the one who can hit something at 100 yards. And an SKS rifle, if you can hit something at 100 yards reliably with a piece of junk like that, then you can.
Because that's the thing. From correct me if I'm wrong, people more educated with guns than me, but if it's under 100 yards, a shotgun is what you want.
Well, no, that's very situational. Shotguns lack the penetrative power, so if you're dealing with someone who's got at least any type of cover or armor, it will be effective against them.
Slug round.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you're going to be I mean, in any situation, even if they're like 20 feet away from you, you can roll with a short barrel rifle.
Yeah. Like any kind of personal defense weapon would, like even a 45 ACP would stop the guy dead, and it's a lot more versatile because you can hit a 100-yard shot with a pistol if you're good enough.
Dude, there was a mass shooter in a mall, and the mall was a gun-free zone. Yeah, big surprise, right?
Yeah. Dallahan says just 100 yards. It's easy. Yeah, I'm telling you, and most people can't make that basic shot. I've hit pop cans at 400 yards measured before, but not on the first shot. But Canadian rifles carry max 5 rounds. Sorry, and I did get the pop can within 5 rounds at 400 yards. That's a pretty small target to hit at that distance, and like smaller than a human head. The problem with slugs is slug shotgun rounds are not as easy to get in Canada. We have a lot of very big restrictions on ammunition. I think they are legal to buy. I think they're just not easy to get.
They just got to be packed in tampons, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Ooh.
Yeah, well, hey. Those are in the men's bathroom now. Chronic, we have to do something with those tampons. Have to do something with you. Yeah, but yeah, anyways, just learn how to shoot. If you are going to get yourself a gun and go through the process of getting yourself licensed and whatever to carry one, at least fucking learn how to use it.
Yeah, it makes sense. You get a gun, you learn how to shoot. You want a date, you got to learn how to box.
You want to go to prison? You learn Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's the myth. Like BJJ is terrible in street fights.
Oh no, I'm talking about you're going to be doing a lot of wrestling on the ground.
Well, yeah. Okay, so that's the thing. What happens if it's 2v1 though? You're dead. And that's the thing. If you're going to get into a bar fight,
no. The trick is not
11v1.
Yeah, no. The trick is not to win the fight. The trick is to be the one who's on top.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
It's not about beating your opponent, beating all your opponents. It's about being the one on top when you're both on the ground.
Yeah, you don't want to be a bottom in prison. That's for sure.
Well, if you can avoid going to prison altogether, that's even better, and just get the hell out of there. Because whatever you were simping for ain't worth catching a couple of box cutters for. Because that's
unless you can get in with the Indian mafia.
Well, that's the thing. It's the that's the one thing that all the immigrant populations in the big cities are quite well known for is they just go to everyone. There'll be a group of them. They go to the bar and they're all armed with box cutters and folding knives and all that stuff. Like just and you pick a fight with one of them and you pick a fight with all of them. And you'll be like, okay, well, yeah, let's take this round back and do like we'll duke it out like men. And then you just get jumped by 20 people.
I mean, that's how
Like
thermodynamics operate.
yeah, there's no
No
honor.
honor.
No
No.
honor. What, you want to die with honor? Great. You're still dead.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to be the next like Derek Chauvin in the U.S. People like he's like Derek Chauvin, but times 12. I'm like, well, I mean,
yeah. I don't know. Great. I think I'm running out of kind of stuff to kind of go over there. I'm sure.
Yeah, no, we've been through like what happened, why did this happen, what's likely going to happen, and what can you do about it. We kind of been through the whole gamut of stuff here because.
You got any hard burning trivia questions about the Canadian political system you've always wanted answered, Chronic?
who's more annoying, the immigrants or the French?
Easily the immigrants. Because
Yeah.
here's the fun thing. Like, I can speak a little bit of French, and they're actually pretty friendly to you if you try to speak the language. Like, I've been to Quebec a couple of times. By the way,
speak it bad.
I speak exactly enough French to convince people who can't speak French that I can speak French.
Okay.
So, anyways,
So,
I've been to Quebec a couple times. By the way, Montreal has some real hot women.
Oh yeah, French women are gorgeous.
Yeah, like it's our California, it's our Los Angeles.
And number two, Quebec is easily the most racist province in Canada. Jagmeet Singh lost like 90% of his vote in Quebec because they looked at the guy with the towel on his head and said, "Oh, we're not voting for him." Like, Quebec is legendarily racist.
Maybe Quebec isn't that bad.
I'm telling you, man, it's got its lure to it. If you can at least read French, you'll be okay. If you can read the signs and you'd be like, okay, I can navigate. I know which way I'm going. You know where the bathroom is. You'll be all right. You'll be all right. Où est la salle de bain? Where is the bathroom?
Yeah, I see your strategy.
Because that's the thing is like, you have to be realistic. Not a lot of people will look at the Philippines and be like, well, I don't want to leave home though. Like, I don't want to check out that strongly. Or some people are very lukewarm to the idea. They're like, maybe there's a chance maybe I could meet meet a nice, cute little Mormon girl who has, very traditionalist upbringings and they actually matter.
Okay, let's be honest. I think you have literally better odds of winning the lottery.
True,
and once you win the lottery, then you have your pick.
Never tell me the odds. No, I mean I've secured myself a very high income job, and I've moved into a rural part. Beautiful lake. Beautiful lake shore here with a beach. Like, I've got everything I want.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like if you aren't going to go for the like children route, again,
I will.
But like if one doesn't want to go for the children route, then it's fairly easy to like just get sorted out and be content, and that's what's really accelerating the collapse globally. Is that like with men not funneling all their money through women, economies are shrinking all over the world.
Oh, by the way, great. Are you familiar of the what is it called? The Mordecai Richler book. Was it Duddy Kravitz?
Rings a bell.
Yeah. It's a book we had to read about like a young Jewish boy in a Montreal neighborhood who like screws everyone out of money.
Yeah, no, missed out on that one.
Anyways, Montreal has a very large Jewish population that's kind of like enclaved somewhere on the island. Now, here's the funny thing of it all. The Orthodox Jewish community is probably your best bet for the happy ending when it comes to a family because they're very strict. They don't allow outsiders. So if you are Jewish and you wish to convert over to the Orthodoxy, um, there's hope for you because they don't let you marry outside of that community. Now, of course, diversity is our strength, right, Chronic?
I mean, if my choice to be happy is I got to be Jewish, you know what? I'm fine being depressed my life.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, Tim, how many people do I have subbed to my channel? Is it a 4-digit number or a 6-digit number? Yeah, you think I'm fucking Jewish? I know. I got the tiny round hat on my head, but it's the wrong size.
Yeah, that's not a yarmulke. Oh, jeez.
I told Gecko to make it a yarmulke.
But anyways, there is an option for that specific demographic. Besides, if Canada ever gets invaded, you'll know who the important people in Canada are based on what every other country defends, and it'll be Montreal Island because that's where they are.
Yep.
Anyways, like something like 87% of this country is uninhabited on a square footage basis. So if you want to build a compound, you have plenty of options. You can even build a compound in an area like semi-proximate to a decent city, so that every now and then you can drive into town and grab stuff.
Oh yeah, no, like honestly, if you just go to Northern Ontario, like go to Cochrane, bam, that's your base town. Get on an ATV and go further north off into the bush, you can have your compound. Like totally fine.
Bush,
There's
Cochrane. Come on, Greg.
Those aren't real places.
Come on. Placentia, Newfoundland is more likely a real place.
Yeah,
Anyways.
no, that's the thing. Yeah, no, like northern Ontario, but Ontario's fairly population dense. I'm sure that like there's all kinds of places if you're just willing to go far enough north. There's plenty of small towns out there that you just hop on an ATV, head north. You can buy a chunk of land there, even get the logging rights that help you get set up. Heck, mining rights if you want, and start the compound. So
hell
like that would be
for diamonds, man.
Like that'd honestly be the third backup plan. If like I don't know how I'd get the money, but if I manage to get enough money and I give up on the whole family thing, then I'm absolutely buying myself a big old chunk of land in the north, and I'm gonna make just the equivalent of a fucking fantasy realm where like you're wandering through the woods and then you just come across this immaculately manicured pack of forest and you're like, this is weird.
You're gonna get mauled by a bear within 5 minutes of getting there. You don't kid yourself. But
can I get a reverse leg trans? Can I get one of those reverse like limb lengthening surgeries? And then could I be like the dwarf that like mans the forge in your fantasy forge? You have to pay me in beer. I take nothing but liquor.
But only if you sing hi ho while you march to the mines.
Yes, they'd be like, "Where's Chronic the dwarf? He is having so much fun." Yeah, well, he only took payment in liquor, and he died of alcohol overdose like last month. It's like, oh,
I mean, shit.
Probably
do some moonshine.
Northern Ontario, the really small towns like the 200, 300 person towns in Northern Ontario, they actually there are some ghost towns there too, just fully abandoned towns where you just like squatters' rights. No one's gonna give a shit. Just hop on a train boxcar until you're up there.
Yeah.
Anyways, well, I think I'm at my time's end here.
All right. Well, thank you. Well, thank you very much for coming on, Tim. I really appreciate just all the insight because like it's good to have someone who actually knows what the heck they're talking about with the politics stuff rather than me just schizo posting.
On you, it's the bears that control everything in Canada.
Well, why do you think the women want to get with them so bad? They saw the power and they're like, "Well,
it all makes sense."
Yeah,
it all makes sense.
Oh, good. Yeah. Hey, we got to do this more often. I don't want to make my own channel per se. I just love getting back and just jump on it. You know what? Call me an OnlyFans girl because I'm just gonna ride the streamer carousel from here on out.
Well, it's good. It's good to have a reliable co-host. So yeah, no, I'll absolutely have you on. Hey, maybe we could do a once a week thing. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Like this is getting me to stream more, so it's good for me too.
All right. Well, I'll check out of here. Good luck, Chronic, and peace,
See you, Tim.
everyone.
All right, peace out, Tim. All right. Well, in that case, we'll wind down Chronic. So thank you for bringing a shit ton of people here with the shill. Really appreciate that.
No problem, bro. Just let me know. I'll try my best.
Yeah.
But,
no,
hey, dude, turn me on, and I'm gonna stream tomorrow, probably in the afternoon. So I'll try to let you know ahead of time.
Yeah, if it's like mid to late afternoon, I should be free.
Cool. Hey, peace, man.
Hey, peace out, Chronic. All right, and thank you, 46 of you currently watching. Hope that this was at least insightful, because I've seen a fair bit of misconceptions about the Canadian election and how our stuff works. So hopefully these past two have made a little bit of sense. And I don't know if we'll be talking about politics next time, but there's going to be some more developments in AI, and oh heck, I don't know. We're gonna play it by ear. Not gonna promise anything, but it's gonna be fun. So, gonna hit the ending scene, and until next time, peace out, Warband. Thanks for tuning in.